What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. It is Sam Kelly here, and today we are talking about interview tips. It is around that time of year where it is interview season for PA school, and a lot of you were wondering what tips I had for interviews. So I'm going to give you some tips that you can do before the interview to prep for it, as well as some tips to do while you're at the interview. All right, let's get on with the video, and you guys can hear about my tips that I have for interviewing for PA school. All right, let's talk about the interview tips I have that you should do before the actual interview. First, you'll want to practice. And by practice, I don't mean over-rehearse answers to questions so you sound like a robot. I just mean become familiar with common PA school questions that are asked during interviews. I highly recommend purchasing the PA School Interview Guide by Savannah Perry. I'll pop it up on the screen so you guys know what I'm talking about. It has over 300 sample interview questions, and it also talks about how you should be answering the questions. What are admissions committees looking for in your answers to these questions? I have the link down below you can use, and you can also use my code PATH2PA for a discount. I totally recommend this product to anyone who is applying and then gets an interview for PA school. It is the best. You could also do a mock interview. So regardless if you do a professional mock interview with the PA platform service, or if you do an interview with a friend or family member, you want to make sure that you're acting professional. That's why I kind of chose to do the mock interview service. I'd be laughing the whole time with my boyfriend or my mom or something. I wouldn't be able to take them seriously. So I wanted to have a really true experience to what an interview would feel like. Regardless of who you decide to do it with, you want to make sure that they give you honest feedback afterwards. You want them to be making sure that they're looking at any weird tics you have. So whether that's touching your hair, saying like, too much, not making true eye contact, kind of wandering your eyes around, whatever they are, you want to get them out now. So it is super important to practice beforehand. But like I said, not over practice to where you sound over rehearsed. You want your answers to come off natural and genuine. The next thing you want to do is come up with questions that you have for the program. So whether that's for the staff members or the students, you want to have questions prepared. Do your research by looking at their website. You don't want to be asking any questions where you could easily find the answer on their website. That just looks like you didn't do your homework. So you want to have a bunch of questions that you'd like to ask them, whether it's for the students about their daily schedule or the staff members about where they have their clinical rotations, do they have any affiliations, whatever. You just want to make sure you have a solid list of questions prepared beforehand. That way, in case one or two gets answered during the interview process, you have some backups to ask. And then the last thing you should do before the interview is get your interview outfit well in advance. Honestly, I recommend start getting pieces the second you submit your applications. Sometimes you only have a week or two notice for your interviews, so you want to make sure you have everything ahead of time. Especially now with a lot of stores being closed down, you want to leave time for shipping, some errors, trying it on, returning, exchanging for new sizes. You don't want to be worrying about if your suit jacket is going to come in the day before your interview. All right, now let's talk about the stuff you should do the day of the interview. So the number one thing is to dress professionally. For men, you should be wearing a full suit, jacket and pants, nice dress shoes, a button down, and a tie. Women, you should also be wearing a suit, jacket and pants, or a skirt is fine. Just make sure it's down to your knee, appropriate length here, people. A blouse or button down, and then flats or heels are okay. Obviously, if you have a Zoom interview this year, you're just gonna be really worrying about the chest up. So overall for a suit, I recommend keeping it neutral colors. Black, gray, navy. I wouldn't go with anything too crazy. If you want to show your personality, I suggest doing that in your blouse or button down or tie. The rule of thumb is you don't want to be distracting. So for women, light jewelry, some studs, kind of like what I have in now, a simple necklace will do, and I would keep your makeup minimal. No bright red lipstick. I think what I have on now is pretty much what I wore to my interview. Some light eyeshadow, mascara, a neutral lip, blush, bronzer, foundation. Obviously, don't wear more than you're comfortable with. If you don't wear makeup on an everyday basis, don't feel like you have to put any on for the interview. Mainly just look presentable. For hair, keep it out of your face. Down is fine, up is fine, as long as it's not covering your face or you're touching it a lot during your interview. And for guys, your facial hair should be tamed. If you have a beard, don't shave it off just for an interview. I would just keep it clean and shaped nicely. All right, now you're at the interview. You walk in, there's a big group, and you want to converse. Big groups can be intimidating. You're walking in and you don't know anyone, but you want to converse and be friendly and engage. And whether that's with your other interviewees, if there's students there, it's totally fine to engage with them and ask questions if they're giving you a tour of the program. Regardless, you don't want to be standing in a corner, silent, not talking to anyone. The reason for this is because you don't know who's watching. You want to come off as personable, easy to talk to, and engaged in this process. Trust me, I'm not one who loves small talk and approaching a big group of strangers, but just do it for this process. If you have a Zoom interview, clearly you don't have to worry about this, in person at least, but there may be chat rooms where you could be discussing stuff with the other interviewees or students before you have your one-on-one or group interview. The next thing is to stay calm. Ways to do this in the moment is take a nice big deep breath. Don't be afraid to say you need a moment to answer a question to gather your thoughts, and just remember that you deserve to be here. They are so lucky to be interviewing you because you're such a great PA candidate. You are choosing them as much as they are choosing you. Next, you want to make sure you're showing your personality. The last thing anyone wants is for their healthcare provider to be a robot and not able to talk to patients. So in the back of your head, remember to remain professional, but also show off your personality. Laugh at the joke that they tell you, smile. It's okay. These tactics might also help calm you down and kind of reel you in from this stressful interview process. And then another tip to remember while you're at the interview is to remember names and maintain eye contact. So say after you have your one-on-one interview with John Smith, they say that the interview is done, and then you stand up, shake hands, make eye contact, and say, "Thank you so much, John Smith. It was so great talking to you today. I can't wait to hear back from you guys." During my interviews, when they would introduce themselves, or if I knew beforehand who was interviewing me, I would drill their name into my head so that I could remember it at the end of the interview and be able to say, "Thank you, John," or whatever. Making that eye contact and remembering their name just shows that you were engaged this whole time. I just think it's a really respectful and professional thing to do. All right, those are all the tips I have for before and during your interview for PA school. I hope I was able to give you guys some tips for your upcoming interviews or your interviews that you are going to have in the future. Also, if you're interested in reading some of my posts that I've made about interviews, my interview outfits, all things like that, I will link directly to that Instagram post below in the description box. If you have any questions about interviews, leave them below in the comments and I'd love to answer them for you guys. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Ring that bell if you want to be notified next time I post. I try to post every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is it for today's video. I will see you guys next time.